Alright, it's pulled together alright, but yeah, okay. It's been got my Elegoo Mars printer out about 5 days ago, and I've done 6 rounds of my Keycap Stem Mod. I think I'm in better shape now to show my ideas and what I'm working on. So right now, let's see, what should I do first? I think I will show you the apps, I guess, of what I've been using. So if I go to Mesh Mixer, this is an example of one of my pieces that's, I'm trying to get the size right, that goes around the keycap. It's kind of upside down right now. It should be, it will rest on top of the keycap, when the keycap's upside down, I should say. And one of the problems, I've had with the multiple prints is if you try to print variations in size, you can't tell which one's which. So yeah. This makes it clear. You can bolt on letters to the sides, and numbers or anything to the sides of things. So this DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation keycaps that I'm trying to make the mod for are actually 1 millimeter longer than, or 1.7, I guess, whatever. They're longer than a standard keycap. So I don't know what's one more power of 10 past millimeters, but this represents 19.7 millimeters, and this represents 18 millimeters. But I ended up starting to use 3 digits because I'm kind of starting to get dialed in down to that level of exactness. I'll show you one more example. Replace with cap base, sample switch cross. Let's see what this one is. Oh, this is another example of little sticks I was printing out that when I don't want to print my whole contraption, I can at least work on the cross sizes. And so this is an example of one of those that I just printed. And then let's look at, I guess this one is one of the other ones. Oh yeah, this is another piece. And so it's 4 millimeters high and 5.6 millimeters circumference of the circle, or diameter of the circle. Let's see. So what I was actually opening there was STL files that I actually send to Chitubox, which prints after that. I don't think there's a way to see recent ones or something. Yeah, I kind of dumped a bunch in there, and I changed you put them on the bed here, and we can do 1 or 4 or something. Let's see. If I just say open file, and this is the last 4 jobs I did kind of. If I take all those and I put them in here, I kind of did this, and then I wanted to see, I actually copied these, clone that one, and then I tried to tilt it, because I haven't tried tilting so far. As far as when you print, they say to do stuff at an angle, and I wasn't sure why, so I was experimenting with that. And then you can come over and say, put your supports. One of my earlier prints, I'll show you here in a second some of the history of what's been happening, but basically each I tried doing my own less supports, and they all kind of melted down. So, and then I tried printing flat on the board on this recent round, and to see if they would put a sheet under it, if there would be holes in the gaps, and without any supports, at least, but it's resting and there's nothing extending, so it's an experiment to see which of these 3 is best for this part of my object. So just kind of doing those experiments, and then better naming, like, so these have names on the side, these have names on it, these all have names on the side, or it's the sizing printed on them, so I can tell when I get them out. So given that, let's go back and let's get out the ones that I just finished. When I say get out, I mean my last print job ran for an hour and 45 minutes. I've been doing about 1 or 2 a night. I think it says if you, so I haven't really, all I do is screw the head back on. The Mars Elegoo has a platform in the base that dips in the resin, and then it adds layers as it keeps lifting itself a little bit at a time. Well, when it's done, I take them out, I scrape them off the plate and into a thing of isopropyl alcohol to kind of clean off any remaining resin. Then I move them into the grow lamp. Still need to look up whether it's kind of in a higher wavelength, but it seems to have helped a little bit, I guess. It seemed fairly dry when I play with them, but after about a half hour, an hour, but I'm not sure. But what I was gonna say is, you do a lot of prints. I don't want to keep it empty. When you're done, at some point you got to empty the resin out of here and back into its container. But I think it said if you're not, if you haven't done anything, if you're not going to do anything in the next 48 hours or more, then you should empty the tray. But I've been going every 24 hours at least, and so it's just running. I poured a third of the tray of resin in there, and I didn't know how much that would last, but I haven't touched it since, and I've done like 6 jobs so far. It's no problem, so it probably lasts a long time. I put on the mask usually, I scrape it off. Okay, so anyways, now let's get the ones out of the grow lamp and see what, and I'll switch and show you, figure out how to get a good view of it. So turning off the grow lamp, surrounded by tin foil and a metal plate of a metal tray that I use for sous vide and retrobraiding as well. That's why I was reusing that. I think that this is all my pieces this time. Their bases were connected together, so I'll show you. We'll get close on this and see what's going on. And I'll use my microscope too. I haven't set it up quite yet. So I'm going to move the camera now to my overhead and see what we can do here. Okay, so actually before I do that, almost dropped it there, but I'll show you my setup. I finally got this newer camera stand, and I was it's meant to be a horizontal slide, but I wanted it vertically for this. So this is my USB microscope, and I can adjust the heights if I want. I can unscrew it and wheel it down or wheel it up, since it's a fixed focus type thing. But right now it seems like it's so zoomed in for such tiny stuff that even keycaps are almost too big. But we'll see if we can switch over to that and use it a little bit in what I'm gonna show you here. But right now, let's get my camera up here and maybe zoom into the. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. That's the max zoom in, and it seems to be over Africa. Okay. Let's see. So this is that experiment where I did these 3. I guess I did 2 each of 2 different sizes. Let's see if you can see the sizes. Or see what melted is working or not working. You kind of have to. These are the support structures that it generates. And this one's actually pretty. This one that's tilted is pretty solid. It looks like. Whereas this one that was flat, it had some trouble on this corner. You can see it didn't quite finish. It melted off or something strange. This one was flat on the bed itself, so it seemed to do pretty well. It's also fine, so that's nice to know. And then this is one of the little pieces that's hung on. This is a new 4mm high stem I was telling you about. But let's I'm going to switch over to microscope so you can actually see closer what I'm talking about here. So I am going to. Basically, these are the 2 parts of a key the top of a switch has a cross on it. Okay, and then the keycap itself has the female version of the cross. So this is what I'm trying to dial in. And what I'm trying to dial in for reals is this piece that I'm holding. I don't know if I can get that clear, but it's got, so this would go over the top of an upside down keycap, and then I would mount this piece that I just printed, for example. This is a stem, a stem that I would want, and we can do that right now. So let me do that with, see if I can get this on here. So let me take it off camera for a second so I can put it on. This stuff is so tiny, it's amazing, but to the naked eye, it's hard to see. So you can see that I put the male and female together, and then the point would be, like, here's one of my digital equipment keycaps that basically, once we get this dialed in right, my idea is that it's suspended over the keycap, and then I can pour epoxy resin in there. Let me see if I can set this down, and I'll see if I can get some better camera angles or something. But it should be suspended in there, and then I can pour some, I actually got some Scotch weld acrylic bonding that I plan on squirting in there and then that works well through oil or things you haven't sanded that are plastic, and it's supposed to be, it's kind of expensive from 3M, but it seemed like the best one to use to bond this piece. So then the point would be after that hardens, then this piece right here would be bonded with the glue in the bottom of the keycap, that stem, but it would also be up at the right height because I suspended this, so I know, whoops, it was suspended this high, which is about flush with the top of the bottom of the keycap, which is the highest part when it's upside down. Hard to explain, but and then once it's hardened, I could pull this part off, and it would be centered and at the right height and everything. So that's the intent of what I'm trying to do. Now let's back up a little bit, and I will. What am I going to do right now? I wanted to show you maybe like how previous experiments worked. Like I think I'm going to switch to some colored paper to see if it shows the numbers on these tiny parts a little better. I can get my finger under here, maybe we can find it. So there, let me see if I can, focus that a little bit. So that means that the arm, what does this mean? One of the arms is 9 wide, the other arm is 0.9 millimeters wide, and the other arm is 1.1 millimeters wide, and the arms themselves, the lengths are both 3.6 millimeters. So I'll put a couple other ones up there so you can see that when I started naming them, I was trying to get dialed in on what size would work or matches, and so if I can get 2 or 3, in the old days I didn't have hardly any writing, but now there's a 10, 12 and all that, so you can kind of see it's been trying to get those numbers dialed in and changing the cross sizes. Now the same thing with the reverse, the female part. Here, for example, is the latest. This is the best female part, so it's 125, 105. This one was an older one that I haven't quite got my numbering system down yet. How about one of these, maybe? Yeah. So let's try and, again, similar problem, but it seems to be a bigger opening, of course. 1.25 millimeters by 1.05 millimeters on the other arm, and then 3.6 millimeters in width or whatever. So this is the kind of stuff I'm trying to dial in. And then, but then in the long run, also then last thing I tried was, you know, so there's two parts, and I showed them to you already, but let me get one of them out again. Where is it? This is one of the parts, the part that goes on top or of the upside down keycap, and it has the right male part of the cross. And then this is the female part. And so I want to experiment with that. It was, you know, this one happens to be, I think, 3 millimeters high and 1 millimeter on those little arms I put out to the side. But in my latest print, which I'm going to bring that over real quick, I did more than that. I have, it's actually 4 millimeters high and 2 millimeters, or 1.5 or 2 on the arms. Let's put them back to back and see if we can see the difference here or something. I can get my fingers out of the way. Whatever, it's longer and bigger, but yet not too long so that it won't touch the bottom of my keycaps that are irregular surface because I broke the stems out of them. Okay, so now, so that was what was this one? Oh, I was changing the number. So this is from the latest print, and I changed the number to be the big one on top so that it matches this one that had the big number on top. Yeah. Let's see if I can get those any clearer. No, there they are. They're so tiny. Well, I guess you can tell next to my finger, right? But let's see. Let's move on to. Oh, actually didn't. Okay, so. Oh. So one of the things I was trying to do is this time I didn't do my whole base, but basically I was having trouble with the size around the keycap, so we're gonna clip off these structures. I'm gonna do it the support structures, and I'm gonna do it on the other camera, I guess, and hope that can show us that part. But the problem I had was that on the Digital Equipment Corporation keycaps, we have a couple problems, but when I put my previous, here's my previous guy that's supposed to go over the top, if I put it in there, we'll be able to see some amount of gap it's too wiggly, right? Like I can slide it back and forth in the thing, left and right and back and forth. And so at the time I printed those, I printed kind of these whole things, but they had no markings on them, so I couldn't tell which one was which. So that is attempted to get, that's what this print is mostly about, is it's actually 2 of each, but I can look on this, we should be able to look and see the size by looking at the sides. There's one. Well, let's see if I can focus on it. Yeah, that says 180. What's this side say? I don't know, we'll look closer when we get to that point, but okay, for now I'm going to switch back to the iPhone and see if, and show you what happens when you get this part. We have to snip off the support structure, so I'm going to do that now. Yeah, the Elegoo came with a set that the only difference of this good one of mine is this, mine has a spring, but theirs didn't. Like you have to close it and then open it yourself. But so basically you just get up near the surface there and try to snip it off right at the bottom of it. So this is all upside down, but oh, okay, that fell off. Yeah, I think the base plate of that held those support structures, it just spread, and like so 3 of them blended into each other. But and then you'll see when I get to the middle, it's hard because there's a bunch of support structures under the middle parts of the cross, so it's harder to cut around that area. But so we're gonna chip away till we see if I can get this thing. freed from its torture. And then, you know, I don't know, my iPhone doesn't zoom in quite enough, but I can at least hold it up there. Whereas the USB camera, it didn't seem to clearly show the numbers on the sides. I don't know, we just need to be able to read them and kind of put them on one of the Digital Equipment Corporation LK keycaps that I have to see if the goal is to see which of the two sizes is the right one towards getting closer to fitting exactly. And I anticipate that after the next round, I'll dial in even more because this round won't be enough to. Okay, let's see. There we go. So I just took this bottom support structure off, and I'm going to clean up a tiny bit of this side. This side is not the side that would be in the keycap, so it doesn't matter how rough it is really. But, so it's flush. The cross is flush on here, and then I have a stem that, as you can tell, let me see. Here's what the real part looks like once I add more parts to it. But right now I said I'm worried about the dimensions of the width and height of this one. So I don't have the whole part at the moment. But and then on the inside, it's actually I think I changed it to 6. I think it's 6 millimeters high, and the cross is 3 millimeters high and flush with the bottom. So this should overlap the keycap by 3 millimeters. Now, and then we need to compare the numbers of the size to see if let's find a side that has a size on it. Not seeing one so far. There's one, 202. So that's 20.2 centimeters by 185, 18.5 centimeters. So that's that one. So I'm gonna set it, let's say right here. So now of these two, we just need to find the one that's the one we need. I guess we can look at this other one that was laying flat, and maybe it's because one of these is damaged, I think. This is the one that had no support structure. Looks pretty solid. It looks fine. Let's see what its size was, and hope it's the other size. I had 2 sizes that I was printing this time. And I printed 2 copies of them because I wanted to see what tilted versus flat did with the support structure. So that looks like a 180. So I'm going to go this direction, so that's 18, and this is 197. So 197, 180, and 202, 185, I believe. So just 0.05 millimeter increase. Or, no, 0.5, I guess. Yeah, 0.5, half a millimeter increase on both. So let's start with the bigger one, I guess, the 202. So this one's the 202, this one's the 19.7. So this 202, we're going to put digital deck cap on it. And it's got some wiggle room. Let's see if I can get this up here so you can see the wiggle room. Yeah, you can see it. It's actually in both directions. So that's the 202. Let's try the 197. So I just wanted to show you, like, it can't go, it's 19.7 millimeters long and 18 millimeters wide, so it just doesn't fit this way at all, like it overhangs, so it only fits one way, this way. This definitely feels a lot snugger, but how much wiggle room do we have? Yeah, not much left. Let's see. In the 18 direction, I don't feel much at all. In the 19, I feel maybe 1/10 of a millimeter or two. I dropped it and I don't know where my other half went. Shoot, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So we can go a tiny bit smaller from this. Now I know what I'm dealing with. Yeah, the 18 millimeter direction, nothing's going on, but the 19.7 is, I can come down to maybe 19.5. I'll probably try next. So that's the story for the point of this print job, is to figure out that size, and what to do next with it. And putting the measurements on the side is immensely helpful. So that's the evolution of what I've been doing over the last week to dial in on. Oh, I guess we can do, let's see. No, I didn't print whole parts, but I can show you, I will show you what I typically do. So here is this part that, let's see if we can get the size of it, 125, 105, 46. That's my female cross. I'll show you. When I test it, I take the stem of another, out of a switch. I took a stem out of a switch, and then it actually, the wide part for me goes like this, and I can try them. So this, slides in and out, but you don't want it to fall out. It's not so loose that it falls out, but it's also not, it's maybe a tad loose. I could try 0.1 millimeter, a 1/10 of a millimeter smaller or bigger to see if it tightens it up a little bit. But my last round I went from too tight to this. So, but we'll see. I can evolve it. But this one's, my point is this one's pretty close. I'm pretty happy with it. Now the other one is, and I just printed one of them, is this. This is the 4 millimeter high female part. So we can, oh yeah, that's, I guess I'll do the same thing. So I could, this will only go in one way because one of the arms is wider than the other, but so we'll find out if it's that way. No, but it should fit there. It fits that way. So this still, it's kind of loose though, but so you'll get the point. I have to dial it in, but the good news is the Elegoo printer is pretty good at, it has great resolution down to 0.04 of a millimeter, I believe. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So that's that. Let's try the other side though. The other side is, I guess, would be, this, the male part on here, and how does that interact with keys that have, so it's better if I use probably the little part. So here's the little part. So let's see, it says F7, so I hold it vertically, it should match, and then you can see that I can put that in there and it fits. And then I got it back out. That's a crappy $30 complete keycap set. The very first one I bought that's garbage. I haven't used it ever. And then, but here's like a decent set, Corso Automotive, Corso Auto or something from GMK Corso, I guess. But again, I guess we can show, we can also look through it and see what it's fitting. Yeah, so this is, it's not falling out, but it can be holding out. Anyways, this is fun stuff. It's kind of takes patience and a lot of iterations, but I think I'm on the right track for how to do this. So that's a full preview on what I'm doing, trying to dial in some of this stuff. Let's see. So I think I'll stop this live stream. I have more. I'm going to do some back to back, but they're about different topics. So upcoming, I'm thinking about, I have an eBay haul to show, and I'm going to retrograde a couple things, and ultrasonic clean a couple things. Alright, that's it for now though. Thank you for watching.